Siddharth Sanyal, you first. What is your big takeaway? Is this a sign that the worst is over, that we are truly emerging with every quarter out of the pandemic blues, the Ukraine blues? This is April to June, 13.5%, well ahead of most other large economies. Is this a positive?
That's a very pertinent question, Rajdeep. And if you just on an absolute scale, if you ask whether the worst is over, the answer is possibly yes, because the kind of numbers we have seen over the course of the last few quarters will possibly not be seen going ahead. But having said that, will the numbers be very significantly higher compared to what we had been seeing in the pre-COVID time? The answer may not be that positive. So basically, if I keep aside today's number of this 13.5%, which is a very, very statistical phenomena, in fact, but if I keep that aside, going ahead, the numbers will possibly be more in the 5% vicinity, taking the overall full year's growth number just shy of 7%. So this particular year, overall number, you might get to see somewhere in the high 6%, close to 7%. But the reality is that the next few quarters will be more in the 5% vicinity than anything else. Now, there are a few factors that one must keep in mind, that while our today's number is significantly higher than most large economies today, one very important factor is that India faced the second wave of COVID absolutely in this particular quarter of the previous year.
Right.
So basically, India's dent in GDP growth for that particular quarter was contained in that particular quarter, and that's why the statistical effect is so much more positive, which will not be there with us going ahead in the next.
So what you are saying is April to June quarter of 22-23 in a way benefits from the fact that in 21-22 this was the quarter where we had the second wave of COVID. So we moved from a low base, which might explain the double-digit growth in this quarter. Yes. The bigger concern growing ahead is whether we can sustain this over the next 9 months. You're looking at 22-23 to be just under 7%. Am I correct?
That's absolutely correct.
But that still puts us well ahead of most other economies in the world at the moment.
Well, it's a question of whether a glass half full or half empty. Now, even though this is one particular year with close to 7% growth number, the very important factor is the next 3 or 4 quarters will be 4.5 to 5.5% kind of vicinity, rather than any other number. So looking ahead, we must take that into account as well. Also, what is very important, more fundamentally, not talking so much of statistics, but talking more about economics, what we need to keep in mind, the effects of higher interest rates and effects of high inflation and high commodity prices will possibly be hurting us a little more going ahead, at least in the next sprint, or possibly over the next sprint as well.
Right.
So that we have to take into account, which was not that damaging in the Q1 number which we have just seen today.
Okay.